Finally back to a normal schedule. No more overnight flights and British food and time zone changes and Arnold Expo. No more. Time for the part that actually gets you the gains. Long term, consistent gym sessions. Both of those, I'd say, are probably equally important. The long term and the consistent part. Because, I mean, you're not going to become jacked in 2 months. And you're definitely not going to become jacked if you can't go to the gym for, at least, I don't even know exactly. I don't even want to say like a number because that would be like, oh, well, you could probably get gains if you go, you could skip a few weeks every now and again. That's silly, man. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Now, same with rest days. If there's a reason, if you've got a reason, then sure, man. Fuck it. If you've got an open heart surgery, it may be in your best interest to chill out for a little while. But even if you have kind of a serious sort of thing, like bodily setback wise, I wouldn't even say that's a good excuse to not keep up with your fucking training. Because, even if you were to snap your shin in half in I don't know, you fall down the steps or something like a total fool, whatever. You still got two good arms. Your chest, you can still bench. You can still do pull downs and rows. In what world would it make sense to stop your training and just, I kind of get the logic. People would be like, oh, well, I'm kind of hurt. I got to recover. I got to get back in. Yeah. In the process of doing that, in the process of taking a month off of training because you hurt something, even though you may think that you're doing that for your own good so that you can, recover quicker or whatever, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. And it may sound counterintuitive to say, but I think you got to train just as hard around whatever that tweak may be. I didn't plan on making this like an injury car talk, but I guess that's kind of where we're going. Like I got an MRI because I like slipped on ice one time on the way back from the gym, and my knee like fucking popped like crazy, and I felt like I ripped some kind of ACL, FLCL, some kind of just tendon in here. I got an MRI, and inside of my meniscus, like on the end of my femur, where this is supposed to be a nice smooth round kind of bit of cartilage and whatever else so my fucking bend can knee right, so my knee can bend right, a part of it, like the bone and cartilage, I don't remember how big it was, like fucking gravel size, it had fucking broken off and spun around. The guy said it was from like repetitive stress from when I was a kid. He's like, you do anything high impact when you were younger? I'm like, yeah, I used to do gymnastics and stuff and like doing flips and shit and jumping on the springboards. He's like, yeah, that probably did it. So that wasn't a very serious setback. All he had to do was reach in there, take out that piece, and it was just small enough that it didn't matter. Like, it's fine. You see me fucking squatting, bazillion pounds. It's all good. But for that period of time, before getting it treated and afterwards, no squatting for me. No leg curls or leg extensions for me. So what should I just fucking stay at home and play CSGO? Should I just sit at home and play CSGO for, 6 weeks in the meantime, and then start training again once I feel good? Or once I can use my fucking leg again? I don't think so. I don't fucking think so. Because in that time period, I'm going to lose gains. And I'm not talking just like, I'm going to lose a little bit of size. I'm literally going to get more out of shape. My cardio is probably going to go to shit. So when I start trying to work out again after pretty serious break. I'm going to be way more winded. Uh, Endurance, trash. I mean, it's just, no, it doesn't make any sense. Because not only have you now set yourself back from a month or 2 months off of training, but you also have probably another month before you even get close to the state that you were at beforehand. So unless you got to get your lower discs joined together with nuts and bolts, I think you should still keep training as much as you can. I'm not saying hurt yourself, of course. If your shoulder is wrecked and you had to get like a rotator cuff repair, I'm not saying try to bench press where your shoulder hurts. No, of course. Let whatever injury you have recover. But if everything else is in working order, you're a fucking factory, man. You're a factory of pumps. So, bum shoulder, machine's out of commission. It's got to be repaired for a few weeks. Do not decrease your output on everything else. If anything, it's probably a good thing for somebody who's, well, I say that like not everyone has legs, which could be brought up. But, if you fucking hurt yourself up top, gives you more time to focus on legs. You don't have to get under a squat bar either. Just fucking go nuts on the leg press and the leg extension, the leg curls, stuff like that. I think the people who say, I'm gonna chill for a few months. I think anybody who just stops their lifts like that abruptly, I don't want to call anybody out, of course, but I feel like they were already kind of looking for an excuse, you know. And it's not like everyone has to be an absolute gym nut, but if you are someone who wants legit gains to the point where, it's pretty fucking impressive, I think that's everybody, And I don't mean like become a fucking 250-pound gearhead either. I felt pretty cool when I was 180. But if you want to be in a state where you've actually got enough progress where people know it without you having to tell them, not everyone wants to have a sleeper build forever, then it's just, your training should reflect that. Your training should reflect that, is all I'm trying to say. Because in any endeavor, everybody has basically two wants, right? Two wants. I want to be really good at this. That's number one. This is the fun one. This is the cool one. And then there's the, I want to do the work to get there. This is the tricky one. This one is the fucking tricky one. And when I talk about this or anything, like fucking motivational, discipline wise, I probably sound pretty rigid because I'm talking about the gym, which is like my shit. I'm not like Gary Vee in every other aspect of my life. I don't have every minute scheduled out to ensure I'm like the most efficient being possible. But right here, gains, I want them, and then doing everything it takes to get to them, I want them just as much. So that doesn't always add up. It just doesn't happen. So, let's be honest. Everybody watching this video would want 5 more pounds of muscle or 10 more pounds of muscle, depending on how, long you've been lifting for. Or if you're a gym noob, then fuck, man. If you're a 150-pound dude right now, you could say, I want 40 more pounds of muscle over, the course of a fucking while. And that's in your wheelhouse, man. It can be done. Now, that's what you want. Do you have the fucking will to make it happen? That's up to you. That is up to you. And the majority of people don't. It's just a matter of fact. It's kind of just the way of the world. Everything is going to look like this in terms of distribution. It's usually kind of a fucking bell curve. Or at least kind of a downward slope where there's not a ton of people that are really willing to do it. There's way more people that are like, oh, okay, I'll do it for a while. And then the majority of people are like, oh, that's fucking, I don't want to be sweaty. Screw that. Not saying they're wrong, it's their own life. But if that's you, and you do have that itch, like, okay, I want to get bigger than everybody around me, or whatever your fucking main motivator is. If you can't back it up and make it happen, then you're just kind of fucking, you're just dreaming, man. You're just daydreaming. So that's all I'm saying there. And how that, oh yeah, I almost forgot how that even related to what I was talking about before. But how that relates to the fucking, you know, injured lifter is the injured lifter who wants it is going to keep training around the injury and, still recover and keep going gains wise. Whereas somebody who's a bit less, let's just say, invested, he might just say screw the gym altogether, start doing some other shit. And this doesn't just apply to the gym. If you've ever done sports or whatever else, you know the feeling, or maybe not the feeling, but you've recognized when someone really just, they just want to go home. They're there, they're at practice, they're at the competitions or whatever else, but they don't want to be. They really do not want to be. And people like that just fucking bring you down. It's so counterintuitive. Like, you're there, you're at this place, and you're putting in effort, which what everyone else is doing because they want to, improve at something. But then you're also just fucking seriously complaining about it, like you really wish you could be anywhere else. For me, someone very specific comes to mind. I'm not going to call him out. That'd be kind of mean. But every time I've seen this dude in the gym, and he lifts, like he knows what he's talking about. He's fucking, I'd say he's a pretty educated lifter. He knows all about like squat stances and different movements and fucking training. Like I would talk to this dude about training just because, he kind of knows what he's talking about. We kind of have a little back and forth. So, he seems pretty interested. But then every time I see him in the gym, he's like, I don't want to be here. Yeah, I really don't want to be here, dude. Oh, I got fucking, he's a power lifter. Oh, I got chest. Oh, man, I want to go home. What the heck, man? What the heck? I don't want to sound like your grandma, but if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe don't say anything at all. Right? Maybe keep quiet. Maybe keep those thoughts to yourself. And then in a little bit more of a psychological approach, saying that kind of stuff, saying anything out loud to yourself, kind of mantra style, it's going to ingrain it into your fucking brain. Like, if every time I were to go to the gym, like let's say I turned the camera off, if every time I drove to the gym, I was saying to myself for a few minutes, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh, dude, I don't want to do squats and fucking leg press and, oh, dude, hamstring. Oh. If that were my fucking monologue that I'm saying to myself, then I'm just like fucking gradually slamming and hammering and chiseling into my own mind that I don't want to do what I'm about to do. Now, of course, I'd never say that because I'm fucking excited to go lift. But whenever you have kind of a bad day, whatever, even in life, to kind of constantly play your problems back to yourself on repeat, you're making it more tangible and you're almost giving it a power over yourself. Whether you get what I'm saying there or not, who cares? But headed to a gym that's a little bit further out of the way. Not for no reason, though. It's got a lot of cool equipment. And then, other than that, when it comes to why do I go to different gyms, why don't I just lift at the same one every lift? For one thing, I go back and forth between home and school. So that's a guaranteed at least 2 gyms a week. Because when I'm at home, I'm fucking 2 hours away. But it's just nice, man. Having different gyms, especially if they're all reasonably close to where you live, it's just nice to change it up. Different environments, different people, and then probably most importantly is different equipment. If I were to just work out at the gym that's 1 minute away from my apartment. That I've got a seated hamstring curl, a leg extension, barbells, and a hack squat. 4 exercises, or well, 4 dedicated machines for legs. I could do cable RDLs and like there's an RDL machine, but it's not very good. So not a lot. Whereas this gym probably has like fucking 15 different dedicated leg machines, like a few different kinds of hamstring curls, a couple of different leg extensions. One of them is like single leg, so it's just kind of extra cool. Many more leg presses. I'm talking belt squat, hacks, actually not even way more. Smith machines just in general. That gym that's closer to me does not have a Smith machine. It's just nice. I am usually one to say like, you don't need the fanciest fucking equipment to have a good workout. And like every time you see like dudes training like the Oxygen Gym or something or anywhere really fancy and cool, like don't think, oh man, I wish if only I had that equipment, then I'd get big. Stupid, man. Not necessary either. You can get pretty fucking jacked with just dumbbells and just barbells. Is that the best way to do it though? Not exactly. So I'm kind of somewhere in between. Like when you've lifted long enough, sometimes you just kind of know, oh, I want to use that leg extension over at this gym. Oof, oh yeah, we got back today. I definitely want to use this seated row. I like the feeling of this one way more than. So it's just kind of nice. So if you can swing it, maybe get a Planet Fitness membership as well as your family's YMCA membership. Kind of fucking double up. But should be solid. 8:45 on a Thursday. I don't know how many people are going to be here. It's kind of late. I bet it'll be at least approaching kind of empty. But I don't come to this gym enough where I am in tune with like the ebbs and flows of the populace. Like if you go to the same gym every day, back to back to back, you get the gist. You know that at 3 o'clock, that's when that's when the high schoolers start rolling in from school. And around 6 o'clock, that's kind of a second wave of just everybody finishing off with work and shit. And then maybe there's like a 9 o'clock wave of people who just like to live late. But who cares? Packed, empty, get a good lift regardless. So let's just mosey on down there and get started with hamstrings. This is going to be a full leg day again. I'll start splitting them up again once I start bulking up. But for the time being, legs are coming back together. So let's get in there. What better start than single leg curls? I can tell, and it's so weird because my left one looks cooler. Like I feel like when I do a side chest or whatever, my left one sticks out more, but it's weaker. So since it's the weaker side, I'm going to hit it first. So if I only get 12, 15 reps, whatever on the left side, even if the right one could get 20, I'm going to stop the right one at 15. So in a way, I'm kind of training the weaker one a little bit harder to let it catch up to the stronger one. But nothing else to say. Squeeze hard. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh. I think one more, same way. Just a touch heavier, though. Oh my goodness. I love a machine where you can give yourself assistance. I think one more. Oh. Okay. All right. Let's pick a new machine. Laying curls ought to be a perfect next movement. This one's super, let's just say simple, but this is the only gym I've used this exact laying curl at. I love it. Okay. Next set, let's hold it at the top for a second on the reps instead of busting them out like that. Okay. All right. I think just one more. Okay. Hamstrings are done. Oh, what was that? Only 6 sets? Fucking fully pumped. Time for leg extensions. So, apologies ahead of time. The music's kind of pumping in here. So, whenever I edit these and the music is too loud, I kind of have to add like a vocal, some vocal fuckery basically. So the sets are still hard, whatever. But single leg extension machine, I mean, Nothing special. You know, if you do a normal leg extension, it's still the same shit. Pad on your leg, up and down. This one is just a little fun. But I think a few sets here, single leg, back and forth. And then after probably 2 or 3, I'll be pretty fatigued already. Like my quads will definitely have already been burnt out just a touch, and they'll be kind of pumped. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for. So when I move on to do some kind of press, like machine squats, Smith squats, whatever, I'll kind of already be pre-exhausted. I won't need that much weight. And it feels good to press with a pump. If you've always squatted first and you kind of open with squats, I would highly recommend at least once try a few solid sets of leg extensions first, and then squatting or leg pressing once your legs are already pumped. If you've never done it, I swear it can feel fucking different. But let's hit this thing. There we go. Weak side first. So yeah, the left quad. Yeah. Few more. Okay. Okay. One more. And then let's start pressing. All right. Honestly, pump wise, I feel like I could fucking go do the pump check now and it would feel pretty good. But I know there's more room for blood in these. Let's grab the Smith. Only 4 plates this time, not 5. But a little bit more leg extensions before this set. So I'll make sure it's a good one. I just need to couple it with a hype song.
Also hot next phase. Live release for the next 6 days. Gold bottles, gold models, spilling 8 on my 6 J's. Hey, I'm right next week, yeah. Shot-town, these hours, moving next, BK. They wanna find me. Crack. Crack. Also, I wanna find me. Crack. Crack. They can get married at the mall. Saying,
I might have left a few in the tank, but that was still a good set. Let's do a few more. Same weight, same everything.
that's right. You see the push kind of American from the stereo, the turbo fancy up clearing in the stereo. Then you turn on the burner up in your area. I'm hard to follow. Progression in every studio session. Fashion in the protection to fail you have an exception. One of the smooth down me is a blessing. Good God, he ends up a better man.
Oh. I mean, one more. Depending on how it feels, maybe 2. Back to leg extensions with a sissy squat. With a sissy squat. Drop set. And then done. I'm gonna take the time. Rock your body, rock your body, rock your
body. Touch your body like when you be fresh out the tub and you rub that lotion. Make you get on all 4s and put one leg up like your body's doing 3-wheel motion. In the ocean, coasting, overdosing, tasting with the magic potion. Total, control them, no one, no one, golden like a rapper, you can dapper, then I'll put her on her back in a packer. No time for this intent. Just get that and you'll get it back out. Oh, we set right. Giving you a little relaxation. I'm gonna get your groove right.
All right. My music is fucking bananas loud. So, again, if this sounds like shit, then whatever. But,
If I grab one of these?
Get in there, you're good. Okay. So, what's your best guess? What is underneath this pair of fucking sweats? Is it a badass pump? Have my legs shriveled up because I've lost 10 pounds over the course of a few days, and now I'm only a 250 pounder? A lot of possibilities. A lot of possibilities, but only one truth. So let's see. Let's see what that is. Those squats felt really fucking good. I'll save what I was gonna say in the car so that it doesn't sound so bad. But I mean, oh my goodness, you tell me. I mean, that's a fucking leg. That's a leg if I've ever seen one. Oh my goodness. Not so insane from the back. But let's get the car and really chat in detail. After that set of squats though, I do have a little something to say. I've got a little bit something to freaking say. So those sets of squats were not a total failure. They were good sets. I definitely went fucking hard. But I probably could have gotten a few more out of each set. The last one was probably the best one. That was pretty much right there, quad failure wise. The only reason I could come back up for the next few was I started using my glutes a bit more. I was really trying to make it all quads, but trying to do those reps slow, that was nice. That was fucking cool. I would never, well, actually, I don't know. The Smith machine squat is growing on me quickly. Usually, I mean, even fucking recently, I've done Smith machine squats and then said, oh, this sucks. I don't like the feeling of this. Maybe it was just the Smith I was using. You know, that could have been it. Because, 1 second. Fuck. Come on. There we go. Yeah, because the Smith machine I was using, maybe it was just kind of weird. I'm sure everyone's noticed if you go to like a Planet Fitness or any gym that has like a Life Fitness Smith machine, those ones are usually on an angle. I don't like it, man. I don't like the Smith machines when they're on an angle. Something about it just kind of messes with the movement path. Like, you could be doing incline bench at the same setting as normal, but if the Smith machine itself already has an angle to it, then you have to like adjust the seat a little bit lower, and then you're almost pressing behind you instead of just straight up. I'm locking in. Smith machines, vertical. I want to see more of it. But there's probably just that Smith machine. And what was kind of cool about it, or what I do think is pretty cool about the Smith machine squat, which is making me really say that I like it, is because I can keep my back nearly upright the entire way through the rep. The main reason that I have to bend forward, you know, my torso over my knees when I do a barbell squat is because not because I had to yawn, but it's because I have to keep, you know, my center of gravity, which when you throw fucking like 400 or 500 pounds on your back is now mainly up here by your shoulders. I've got to keep that right above my feet. And then I also have to use all my fucking stabilizer muscles and everything else to not lose my balance. And that's kind of going to fire some more glutes, maybe some more adductor, you know, get my midsection involved, really got to keep a super stable back. Whereas with the Smith machine, even though I may be like putting some force on the bar backwards, you know, I may not be pushing straight up. My feet are a little bit in front of the bar, so I might be pushing back a little bit, if you get what I'm saying. But since the bar is constrained just to move up and down, then that's fucking fine. You know, so if you were to compare side by side those squats to barbell, torso is way more upright. You know, to the point that I look like a fucking Chinese Olympic lifter squatting. Not that anybody couldn't do it, but if you look that up, when those guys squat, they do not bend forward even a little bit. Okay, maybe a little bit, but you know, their fucking torso is almost vertical throughout the whole squat. And what's that going to do for you? It's going to be firing your quads like crazy. You know, no matter what you do or how awesome you are at muscle isolation, everything that's involved in a movement, just, you know, by biomechanics, will activate even a little, especially towards the end of a set. You know, like if I'm doing a set of Smith machine bench or like chest press, you know, and I'm trying to only flex my chest to lift the weight. As my chest gets more and more fatigued, it gets harder and harder for me to not start to fire my triceps. It gets harder for me to not fire my triceps, maybe a little bit of front delt. It's just the nature of it. So, same thing with squats. But if I can do a movement which kind of takes more glutes out of it, and then I can really just focus on my quads, then that's what I'm going to do. I think, yeah, those are my top two. Those are my top two pressing movements for quads for sure. Barbell squat and Smith machine squat. Something about leg press, man. I just don't love it. Some leg presses I do. Some I do. But barbell and Smith, that's my bread and butter. Even though I didn't do barbell today. Um, but what I was getting into was those sets of Smith machine squats. They were not to absolute failure. I think I could have gotten a few more reps out. But what makes me kind of a little bit more, I'm putting a little more thought into it now is they were still good sets though. I was still doing some serious quad damage to the point where what I really think I was doing there, even if it wasn't, really consciously, was maybe doing a little bit more of, oh my God. I'm so sorry. I was doing some talking at the end. It's like midnight right now. I'm ready for bed. But those 3 sets, if I were to have taken that first set even harder and done maybe another 2 reps or so, I think by the time I would have done the next set, I probably would have said, okay, that's enough. We'll move on. So, that kind of goes against what I typically say, take every set to failure. Because when I racked all those sets, I felt pretty satisfied with the amount of effort I put into them. So, when it comes to taking every set to absolute muscular failure, I will admit it's not that cut and dry. I've said this before, not like a ton, but if I were to sit in front of the dumbbells and I'm doing a bicep workout, and instead of trying to do like a really heavy set and then progressively get lighter and lighter as I do them, instead of doing like that, almost really kind of biasing the intensity of the workout, if I were to start with just the 50s, kind of do a set of 20, rack them. I could have done 25, maybe even 30. 20, rack them, wait a minute, 20 again, 20 again, 20 again. Maybe I only get 15 the next time. It's kind of, I think it's a similar amount of workload, but spread out over a few more sets. This is kind of the typical argument, like what should you really be working on? Or what should be focusing on in your workout? Like the intensity or maybe just the overall volume? Because I think overall, your workouts, if they're good, have a certain amount of damage that you want to hit. And if you only do, 5 or 6 sets, and those 5 or 6 sets are, to failure, like you go fucking nuts, then maybe you hit that 6th set and you say, okay, we're done. That's good. Let's check the pump and get out of here. But maybe if you do sets which were a little more lighter, kind of focusing on the volume per se, really just pumping them up, you'll probably be able to do 10 sets. Like if I try to do just dumbbell curls as heavy as I could, 10 reps, by the time I've done 5 sets or 6 sets, I'm probably done. The workout's probably over. If I were to go a little bit lighter, maybe not just go to complete muscular failure every set, then I'd have to do probably 10 sets to feel satisfied. So really all I'm trying to say there is, actually I don't even know what I'm trying to say there exactly. Let me kind of condense my fucking thoughts. Well, if you did a good lift. That's all I'm trying to say. If you actually have a realistic and objective view of your effort levels on your sets, and that was a good workout, you can feel it, it based on how hard you worked out in the past, your quads are wrecked, they're fucking pumped, you did something right. You did something right. Maybe not my most cohesive kind of analyzation, but whatever. So that's kind of the opposite of how I've gone about quads in the past. Because usually what I would do is I would do a set of squats as the first movement, and I would just do one fucking set, and it would be to complete fucking failure, like to the point where I have to rack it on the safeties. But then I almost like wrecked my quads too much, to the point where I could not do another set with that same weight, even for a few reps, and I'd have to drop it super low. So it's like, in my mind, I'm almost imagining the workout as trying to break your way through a brick wall. Do you use a fucking pickaxe, hit it maybe 20 times before you get through? Or should you get a fucking bulldozer, slam it, get through in one fell swoop? That's kind of the two ends of the spectrum in terms of slightly more volume and lower volume, higher intensity. I think an even mix is about right. It's about freaking right. But honestly, I feel like the only reason I'm yapping right now is because I feel like a chump because I didn't take those squat sets to failure. I should have asked the guy behind me for a spot and gone for those next two. Next time. But still a good lift. So plan now, go home. I'm already at about 2,300 calories for the day. In the past, usually I'd drop straight down to like 2,500 and just really get the cut started. But the bigger that you get and the more muscle that you have on your frame, like literally, it's a 1-to-1 fucking correlation. The more muscle that you have built, the more calories your body needs to maintain your weight, you know? So a bigger dude gets to eat more food. So given that I am a bit bigger now than in the past, the amount of calories I need to eat to still be in a deficit has increased. So I think this first week or so, well, the last few days I've only been eating about 2,500 just because I haven't really been that hungry. But I don't want to totally crash out that hard. Because if I can eat 3,500 calories or 3,300 or whatever, upwards of 3,000-ish, and still lose body fat, then that's what I want to do. You know, there's no point in doing a deficit that's steeper than necessary. So 30, probably 3,000-ish, go home, have a pound of steak, maybe some treats. I've got room for like 100 more grams of carbs-ish. So we'll see. But my weight this morning was about 250, which I'm happy with 250. Obviously, Sam, what happened? You were 260. 260 full. 260 full. Full of water, full of carbs, and really not an insignificant amount of that weight was just my stomach being full of food. You know, like even when I wake up in the morning when I was bulked up and I go to the bathroom, so, you know, my stomach's like quote unquote empty. Looking at myself, especially my side profile, my midsection was a little bit thicker. Not because it was like fatter on the outside, but there's just more shit in there. You know, shit, steaks and treats and ramen and stuff still being digested. So, it's not like I lost 10 pounds of muscle compared to a few weeks ago. I've lost some intramuscular water and probably a few pounds of just, you know, mid-digested goop floating around inside of me. So I think I'm pretty much as flat as I'm going to get. So now I should be, or not should be, I am losing body fat at a steady rate. What's the end goal? Well, let's just break down even more abstractly. What's the point? Why am I even dieting right now? To those unaware, you know, bulked up, went from 230-ish to 230 lean to 260, a little bit softer. So fucking 30 pounds in about 5 months. I'm all right with that. And now, I kind of want to reset my system. Get my, bring my appetite back up, get rid of some of the excess body fat that I've put on. Not that I have a ton on me right now anyway, but there will be a very noticeable difference between now and even just a few weeks from now. So once I get down to maybe 230s, 235, 230 something, decently lean, then just get back on the bulk again. Now, if I'm just going to get back on the bulk again, why don't I just keep bulking right now? Why even add a break? If I could, I would. But historically, I mean, I've got legit data to support this. The more that I try to force a bulk, especially past the 5 month mark, it just doesn't happen. Just because the more that I eat in a calorie surplus, I'm talking thousands upon thousands of, well, upwards of like 1,000 grams of carbs a day, I just can't maintain it. It gets to the point where I'm really just not hungry at all. Appetite's shot. So the way to fucking counteract that, at least for me, shortcut, a few months. I mean, not even a few months, 2 months. And then I'm nice and lean. I'm still basically just as big muscularly as I was before. If anything, I kind of look bigger just because of the leanness factor. Like me, lean, diced, even if I had 10 pounds less muscle, if I did a pose down with myself, the lean guy, or the lean version of me, would look bigger just because of fucking proportions and waist and veins and everything else. So that's the idea. That's the idea. Bulk up until the bulk is just no longer viable, and then reset the system to bulk again. Now, constantly going up and down in weight, you're not going anywhere. You're yo-yo dieting. I've heard that a few times. Now, I mean, you would be right if I didn't get heavier after each loop. If every time I bulked and cut, I only ever hit 250 pounds on the bulk, and then I only ever cut down to 230, and I just constantly went back and forth like that between those two numbers without changing my physique at all, then yeah, I would fucking agree with you. And I would say, geez, I should probably just stay lean all the time, because clearly I fucking can't grow. But not the case. Not the freaking case, man. I mean, on the last bulk, dude, 250 full of carbs and everything else. That was like pretty much the heaviest I got up to. So this bulk being 10 pounds heavier than that at the peak, I'm cool with that. So me leaner should be a touch bigger. That is one thing too, though. The larger you get, gaining the same amount of weight becomes less of a noticeable difference. Just, due to the nature of diminishing returns. But pounds of lean tissue are still pounds. So the plan is repeat, and it kind of looks like a mountain range sort of pattern. Bulk up, cut down, heavier than it was before. Bulk up, cut down, heavier than it was before. And then eventually I'll be nice and big and lean, and I'm like, this is where I want to stay. And then I'll just stay big for a while until I downsize. That's the nature of every lifter. We all know how this works. Can't stay totally massive forever. But who fucking cares, man? You're born with nothing and you leave with nothing. But in the meantime, it's cool to kind of get something. So that's sort of the plan there. One thing I will admit, though, or not admit, but just point out, is you would think when you bulk up, you get more energy because you're eating more food. Not exactly, dude. My energy levels are so fucking stable when I diet down. Like, I do feel weaker a little bit. Like, my muscular endurance in these sets has gone down a touch. Like, I hit failure much quicker on those sets of hamstring curls than I usually do. But even though I may be like, maybe my strength stat has gone down. So what, man? It's kind of nice because something about the fact that now I'm not so full of carbs. I can hit muscular failure much faster than I would hit or start to hit like cardiovascular failure. And what I mean by that is my hamstrings are going to give out way before I get winded. So that hamstring portion of the lifts, I mean, that felt fucking easy. I finished the set. My hamstrings were totally cooked, but I was hardly even sweating. Quads was a little bit rougher, just because quads have a pretty serious fucking oxygen demand, especially those squats. Like the leg extensions, I was huffing and puffing, I was breathing, but those squats, I needed some time to, catch my breath, get ready to do another set. So, you gotta remember, always a give and take. You bulk up, you're nice and big and strong, but you also have the chore of dealing with eating a lot of food consistently, all the time, and sometimes to the point where you're kind of uncomfortable. You die down, you feel a little slimmer, more, at least for me, kind of more energetic, or at least I feel like my energy levels are much more stable. Like I do not take so many naps when I'm dieting down, but that's at the cost of, being a little bit hungry sometimes, having to back off on the sweets, being a little bit weaker in the gym. But in the long term, that's just what you got to do, man. So what, right? It's as far as I'm concerned, that's a small price to pay for a bigger set of arms with extra veins and striations. Oh man, I was about to say something. I had a thought forming in my head, and then it just fucking puffed out to nothingness. I'm trying to rethink the thoughts that I was, or the shit that I was saying right before I thought about it. It's gone. It's gone. So. Yeah. If you can't see the big picture, then whatever, man. Right? Like if you can't go through the uncomfortability of everything that goes along with, the gym and actually progressing, like the diet side, trying to optimize your sleep a little bit more. I mean, we should all be sleeping way more than we already are, but it is going to have a fucking direct result with how you feel and how you progress training wise. So, I mean, it's always a give and take, man. Just how much do you really want it? And I think everybody wants it, right? Everybody wants it. Everybody wants to be nice and fit. But that kind of gets negated by the fact that people also want to just chill on their phone all the time. And it's kind of uncomfortable to be sweaty. So, I haven't heard the word couch potato for a while. Yeah, that separates that's what separates the freaks from the couch potatoes. But yeah, plan now. Food, home, and sleep. I don't know if it's because I was bulking up or because I had. I don't know. Maybe it's because my time zones were changing or whatever. But I've been having the wildest dreams. Like, not like extra crazy or anything, but very vivid. To the point where, like, I wake up and I kind of like I'm still half dreaming. It's. Not that that relates to gains or anything, but now I'm just keeping the mumble streak going. But speaking of no treats, that's not exactly true. That is not exactly true, because my diet is not chicken, rice, and broccoli 5 times a day. My diet is 250 grams of quality protein, at least for the most part. I'm still gonna have some fast food and count the protein in it. Not ideal for every meal, of course. I try to get most of it from steaks and eggs and fish or milk products and everything else. But like I said, it's not all chicken, rice, broccoli. It's 250 grams of decent protein, decent to high quality protein, of course. I'm talking animal products. 60-ish, or I think it's 70. I kind of raised it. I don't remember the exact numbers. 75 or something grams of fat total for the day, and about, I think it's 300 something grams of carbs. So, every time I eat something and I track it, it gets added onto that tally. Oh, there goes 50 grams of protein right there from some eggs, some egg whites, 14 of them to be exact. Oh, yeah, 5 grams of oil from the avocado oil. I cooked it in. And I decided to have a pack of ramen as well. 52 grams of carbs, 14 grams of fat. This is where I kind of get into the counting proteins and not counting proteins, because if you look at anything on the nutrition label, it's gonna have protein in it. When you look at if you look up the macros of a pound of top round steak, obviously that's gonna have like fucking 80 grams of protein, maybe 10 grams of fat, and maybe like 2 grams of carbs just from the fucking muscle glycogen. So that protein's legit. I'm gonna count that shit, and it's all gonna be solid. It's a complete protein. Because you gotta remember, or if you don't, I'll just tell you, protein is not just one. It's not just one thing. You cannot microscopically zoom in and say, "Oh, that's protein right there. That is one unit of protein." No, it's a whole array of like 12 amino acids. I'm not going to list them off because I don't know them. At least not all of them. Now, what proteins, what foods have all of those fucking amino acids? Animal products do, man. Meats. So I'm not going to say there's no big vegans out there, but I am much more inclined to want to get some proteins that are really, A grade or above on the protein grading scale. And then that scale goes from 100 to 0. And in that 50 range, in that 40 range, failing by American grading standards, that's where you're going to find like soy protein and wheat proteins and like fucking and whatever else. So 8 grams of protein in a pack of ramen, it may be 8 grams of amino acids, but they're not complete, So usually with those, I don't track them. I don't track them. I will get people that say, well, you should still track them because they still count as calories, which it's true. Protein still has energy, which your body's gonna use. But typically the amount of protein that I consume in a day, which is from a non-dedicated protein source, it's no more than like 100 or so calories worth. So if for whatever reason you decide you really want to track those and add them in, go for it. For me, I haven't, and I've had no issue. But that's up to you, right? That's something you got to figure out once you start tracking all your macros and weighing all your food and looking up the nutrition on stuff and really becoming a calorie nutcase by typical people's standards. But that's that's a little bit more of an advanced tip. So, chest day tomorrow. I'm very excited to do chest pumps lean because, oh my goodness, it's just fucking extra cool. Because when I'm dieted down, like when I'm fully carved up and big, my chest is literally the biggest that it ever is, which is awesome. But it doesn't look the biggest that it ever is because I'm softer. My midsection's a little bit bigger because I'm also like slightly fatter around the edges, and I've got a full belly of food. So when I'm dieted down and lean with a chest pump, I mean, I've pretty much got everything going for me. Veins, striations, massive pump, of course, and trim midsection. That has got to be the number one factor which can kind of fucking change the way your whole fucking body looks when you're posing down, pump cover off, because it's not like you look at somebody and say, whoa, that guy's waist is very small. Unless it really is. I'm talking like, I forget the guy's name. Insert bodybuilder who had a 26-inch waist. Black dude. Looked like a nut, but that's back in like the 80s. What you really end up seeing is your shoulders and your upper body, your chest and everything else look bigger in comparison to your waist. So that's kind of like if you look at on the Instagram, really I only ever post pictures when I'm, lean, because they look extra cool, of course. That picture, I think it's like the third post. I'm doing a front lat spread with a chest pump, and I look bigger than I did in the last chest day with a chest pump, just from that kind of fucking leanness factor, smaller waist factor, plus freaky ass lighting, goon lighting, literally with a pump. So, all things which, those are the motivators. Those are which are making me say, all right, I don't care that I'm kind of hungry right now. I'm gonna drink a Sprite Zero instead of having a handful of candy, because I know that I want to get fucking lean. And part of that is just because I know that it's gonna have an effect. This is something which I was just talking to a few dudes about, like, what sort of gets them going hype wise. We were saying all sorts of shit. But, and maybe this is just me or what, no, it's definitely not just me. But I know for a fact that every workout I do, and even smaller than that, every set that I do is like just getting me one step further, gains wise, progress wise. And even though it's such an insignificant step, like, oh man, I mean, these are some big numbers. 5.5, let's just say 5 for simplicity, years, basically daily lifting. Of course, rest days happen, but pretty sparse. Let's just say daily to keep it simple. So 5 times 360. So 1,800 lifts. How many sets per lift? Probably on average, because like today it was like 10, but I used to do a lot. Let's just say 15. Let's say 15 sets per lift. So 15 times 1,800. That's fucking 18,000. It's 27,000 sets. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, whatever. So 27,000 sets. How many reps each set? Probably average, let's say 12. So 27,000 times 12. I mean, 300,000 reps. So each rep is fucking basically insignificant. Right? Every rep of every set you do, in the grand scheme of things, is pretty much completely unnoticeable. But since or if you do kind of know and recognize the fact that each one of those reps make, adding up to a productive set, adding up to a productive workout, and then you couple that with coming home and chowing down, getting a good night's rest, staying hydrated. I mean, the fun part about fucking lifting is the fact that when you're in a really good state of progress, you also just feel good throughout your whole day. Not even related to lifting. Because if you're well rested, well hydrated, and well fed with enough protein, I mean, you just fucking feel good. It's a little tangent there. But I know that every time I go to the gym, I'm adding a marble. I'm adding one little grain of sand to a fucking pile. And that pile is titled Sam's Gains. So that's kind of what gets me going. I know what I'm doing is going to have an effect, and I want to give it the most affecting effect possible. So that's kind of how I think of each lift. And since I've got that ingrained in my mind, Plus, I don't know if I want to say I'm wired right or wired wrong, but however I'm wired just makes me kind of a nutcase for the gym as well. I mean, we're talking unstoppable force type situation, right? Knock on wood. Something astronomically crazy would have to happen to keep me out of the gym for even I mean, 1 month. I couldn't even think of anything that can keep me from getting a pump. And in no way am I asking for anything to do that. I do not want to test that theory. So, nice and long car talk today. Again, yeah, sorry about the audio. Yeah, every time the gym's music is really loud, I gotta kind of like mess with it so the mic doesn't pick it up as much and it gets like flagged or whatever. New new trend for 2024. Gyms can only play copyright free music. How many gyms do you think are going to follow suit? That's silly. But hope you had a good lift. Will have a good lift. Actually, that's usually what people say. I'll because I read all the comments. Like I don't see every single one, but I'm always scrolling through them. I hear a lot of Sam Sulik videos post workout. So that's probably you. You probably just finished your workout if you're watching this now, or however long ago this video ended. So I don't want to say hopefully it was a good one because I know it was a good one. Now all you gotta do is go home and get some grub and go to sleep. Perfect end to the day of a lifter. So I will see you tomorrow for chest.